What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for January 11th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Saturday edition of the podcast. Saturday of Wild Card Weekend. Woke up to a dusting of snow. It's cold. Eagles-Packers tomorrow. It's going to be a good weekend. Let's knock out some housekeeping. First, be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at Philly Jimbo. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word as we try to grow this thing. Little programming note, and I don't know what's going to become of this. I'm toying around. I see all kinds of people on Twitter posting highlights and things like that to their posts, sports highlights. So I've messed around starting this week with adding where I can find them, some clips of whatever we're talking about. I had Reggie White's sack yesterday. I had Donovan doing his dance in Dallas. I don't know. I figured I'm not going to mess with YouTube because YouTube is very strict with the copyright stuff. But I figure on Twitter, everybody else is doing it. Why not me? So if you want to actually see some of these things as they happen, you can go to the Twitter account, Jimbo_Mont. And check that out. I'll have two of them for today as well. I guess at least until they make me stop. So we will see. I did consult with some lawyers. That's why I'm kind of holding off on putting stuff on YouTube for the time being. But if you want to see the actual This Day in Philly Sports History, where available, I'm posting that on Twitter as well. So be sure to go over there and give that a follow. I've heard from the guy from KYW. Tomorrow, my feature will be on air at 6:45, 8:45, 10:45, 11:45, 2:45, 4:45, and 6:45, as well as on the KYW website, which you can access through the Odyssey website. Very excited about that. I haven't seen the final product or heard the final product, so I have no idea which way he went with it, but I'm looking forward to that. So tomorrow, 6:45, 8:45, 10:45, 11:45, 2:45, 4:45, and 6:45, I will be featured as the fan of the week on KYW. And then I believe it looks like they leave the features up for 2 weeks on their website if you want to go there and check that out. But pretty cool stuff. Hopefully it leads to some good things in the future. So be sure to check that out as we, like I said, the goal is to try to grow this thing, and lots of good things on the horizon. It was a great opportunity to work with KYW. So we've been working with the On Pattison newsletter, the stuff with the Philly Sports Hall of Fame, doing some work with the Clashing Conferences podcast with their fan network. Always a good time with them. You can find them on Twitter or wherever you find your podcast, as well as on YouTube. But just good things going on for this podcast as we grow into 2025. All right, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. Had a little bit of fun on a Friday, and I asked you, which fan base is the most annoying? And then I realized on Facebook and TikTok, I left it open-ended, which really set myself up for this. But it was the Cowboys fans coming in with 42% of the votes. Duke, surprisingly, was number 2 with 25, then Boston, then Yankees. And I will say there were quite a few votes for Eagles fans as well. And I realized I totally set myself up for that. But it's a valid point because, yes, we are annoying too. And I sort of mentioned that yesterday as well. We're annoying. We know it. We don't care. But I want to give a shout out to Bill from Flowertown, who is an outsider to Philly. Know him personally from my days at Temple, and he comes via Chicago. And he basically wrote a nice little soliloquy on Facebook, but said sometimes Philly fans don't enjoy the process. Sometimes you need to step back. He mentioned things like when we have a good month, all of a sudden we want a parade, and then when things go in the tank, we tend to get upset. All of what he said was 100% true, and it was interesting seeing it from an outsider's perspective. However, I will say it is a different beast in Chicago in the Midwest than it is on the East Coast. But thank you, Bill, for participating and for your thoughts. But like I said, it was very nicely written. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, go check that out. He brings up a lot of valid points. And I do think sometimes we don't enjoy the process. He mentioned, and I've mentioned this on this podcast before too, we have the little brother syndrome when it comes to like New York and Boston. And I think we tend to want to be able to compete sometimes with those cities and amps our expectations up more than what we should. But thank you as always for participating in the question of the day. There will be another one later in the show. All right. Sixers, 123-115 lost to the Pelicans last night, a game they should have won, could have won. Yes, they were shorthanded, no Joe. This time it's not the knee. Apparently Nick Nurse said the knee is doing well. It's that sprained foot he suffered against Boston. But it's always something with this team. It's frustrating. Maxey had 30. Paul George had 25. Paul George is still struggling. Every time they suck me in. This happens. They didn't play any defense yesterday. I tried to watch it. I was flipping between that and the Ohio State-Texas game, and the Sixers, it was almost borderline unwatchable. But they are in action tomorrow against Orlando, which is a tougher matchup, and I think they have the Knicks. I forget who else. So it's a tough road coming up. Hopefully Joe can figure out what's wrong with his foot and get it going. But like I said, every time, half tongue-in-cheek, made the analogy of Lucy in the football and the crazy ex-girlfriend. Yet, here we are. Every time I get sucked in, the same thing happens. Kind of manifest that into reality almost. Flyers in action tonight against the Ducks at the Wells Fargo Center. The return of Cutter Gauthier to the Wells Fargo Center. And the way that the crowd has been for the Flyers, it should be a raucous atmosphere tonight. But that is tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. I mentioned my boys at the Clashing Conferences. Be sure to check them out. And then go to Philly Goat, do some shopping, get your gear. They have a ton of Eagles gear. Get ready for this Super Bowl run. Get the shoes, the hoodies, you name it, they got it. It's not too early to start thinking Phillies. They got a bunch of Philly stuff as well. So go to Philly Goat today. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, now to the big story. Eagles-Packers tomorrow. And before we get into that, the All-Pros were announced yesterday. The Eagles have 6 first or second team All-Pros. Saquon and Zach Bond were first team. Second team, Lane Johnson, Mailata, Jalen Carter, and A.J. Brown. And personally, my first reaction to this is no offensive line on the first team All-Pro is an absolute joke. The Phillies, oh my goodness, the Eagles, to their credit, actually did notice this. And I saw on Lane's locker, there were side-by-side comparisons of the stats between him and Penei Sewell of the Rams, who was the first team tackle. And Lanes were better across the board. Just another one of those things that this team can use as motivation. But this team is going to be locked in. To them, all pros right now, none of that matters. It's all about winning the Super Bowl. And then, tomorrow's going to be insane. Jalen obviously cleared concussion protocol, which was good news, which we all expected. A.J. Brown spoke to the media, said his knee is banged up, but everybody's got something. He was like, he's using last year's motivation, the fact that he wasn't able to play in that playoff game, and he's like, I got to go out there and do this for my team, my teammates, the city. He's locked in. Got Eric Allen, who was just named as one of the finalists for the Hall of Fame election as the honorary captain. Got the Eagles putting out their hype videos, everybody else putting out their other hype videos. It's going to be insane. And this team is so focused. I love it. I started off the week kind of nervous and I'm moving slowly. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm slowly thinking this could be a double-digit win for the Eagles. I think there's just the perfect storm of way to be motivated. Everybody's healthy, having that bye. This could be absolutely insane. And I highly recommend checking out the Eagles Hype video, as they always do a good job. They've come a long way from when they used to do the little cartoon things before each game, which were good in their own right. But Eagles-Packers tomorrow. I will have the 3 keys to the game. I've been working through that this week. Got a good sense on where I'm going. And like I said, I don't. Maybe I'm getting caught up in the hype. I don't know, but I'm leaning at this point toward possibly a double-digit just runaway like boat race. Not quite there yet though. But we'll have more on the Eagles-Packers, including our 3 keys to the game tomorrow on the show. All right, today we're done with the end of the road stuff. We're going to do a little Eagles doubleheader and 2 of the most iconic plays in Eagles postseason history. First, we're going to go back to 1981. And on this day in 1981, the Eagles beat the Cowboys 20-7 in the NFC Championship game at the Vet. Wilbert Montgomery's 42-yard touchdown run got the ball rolling for the Eagles and set the tone as the Eagles beat the Cowboys to go to their first Super Bowl in franchise history. Wilbert on the day ended up with 194 yards and a touchdown. The defense was outstanding, holding the Cowboys to 206 total yards. But Wilbert's iconic 42-yard touchdown run is the play from this game. And then fast forward to 2004, and this play, had the Eagles made the Super Bowl, I don't even think they had to win. Had they made the Super Bowl, this would have been the most iconic play in Eagles postseason history until the Philly special. On this day, it was 4th and 26, trailing 17-14 with 1:12 left in the fourth quarter. It was 4th and 26. Donovan stepped back, hit Freddie Mitchell over the middle for 28 yards for the first down. David Akers hit a field goal to send it to overtime. The Eagles got the ball in overtime, went 3 and out, and then Brett Favre threw a lollipop that Brian Dawkins intercepted, returned into Packers territory. Akers with the game winner. Eagles win 2017. Unfortunately, they lost the next week to the Panthers, but 4th and 26 happened on this day in 2004, and it would have been the most iconic play until the Philly special had they made it to the Super Bowl that year. And then on this day in 1981, Wilbert Montgomery's 42-yard touchdown run in the Eagles' 20-7 win in the NFC Championship game over the Dallas Cowboys. All right, sticking with our forgiveness for the New Year's in an effort to try to bring the good karma, release that negativity, work on our aura, all the positive vibes we need, like the feng shui, whatever you need to do to get it positive. And today we are forgiving former Eagles owner Leonard Tose. He was the owner before Norman Brayman. And today it's simple. There's only one thing really to forgive him for, and that is the fact that he almost moved the Eagles to Arizona. In fact, the deal was done, and it took a lot of negotiations, concessions, and work between the NFL and the city of Philadelphia in order to keep the Eagles in Philadelphia. Like I said, the city, fans were just outraged and just in shock. The city was like, no, we need to keep the Eagles here. It ultimately came down to the club boxes at the Vet, the luxury boxes at the top row of the Vet, and it was a mess. I don't necessarily remember. I was still a little too young, but going back and reading the articles in the paper, people were upset, and in fact, it was a done deal that this was going through. Now, Tose did have his issues with gambling and alcohol, which led to him not having the money, which it was widely known he'd be down in Atlantic City and things like that. This isn't the first time he tried to get rid of the Eagles. At one point, the Buffalo Bills were also having some issues with attendance and things like that. He tried to trade the Eagles and the Bills. So at one point, the Bills almost came to Philadelphia. The Eagles almost went to Buffalo, which would make a good subplot for this year's Super Bowl. Just saying, you know how they have 8 hours of Super Bowl coverage. Remember the time that the Eagles and Bills almost traded cities? Anyway, luckily the city did agree to put the luxury boxes in the vet, and the Eagles did stay in Philadelphia, and Leonard Tose ended up selling the team to Norman Brayman, which, while that wasn't the greatest thing, it was better than them moving to Arizona. So for almost letting the Eagles go to Arizona, which would have been devastating to this city, Leonard Tose, I forgive you. I forgive you for almost taking our beloved Eagles to Arizona. Hopefully, I feel better about that. I'm able to get that negativity off my shoulders, and we need all the good vibes, like I said, heading into tomorrow's game. Looking forward to it. But Leonard Tose, today, we forgive you. On this day in 2004, Eagles beat the Packers 20-17. Donovan McNabb hit Freddie Mitchell on 4th and 26 late in the fourth quarter to extend a drive, setting up a David Akers game-tying field goal, which they would win in overtime. And then in 1981, Eagles beat the Cowboys 20-7 in the NFC Championship game to go to the first Super Bowl in franchise history. We will have more on the Eagles-Packers, including the 3 games tomorrow. Be sure to check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences. Go to Philly Goat. And almost forgot the question of the day. Today's question of the day, in honor of 4th and 26 and Wilbert's run. Non-Super Bowl 52. What is the most iconic postseason play in Philadelphia sports history? Is it 4th and 26, the AI step over, Bedlam at the bank, Jimmy Rollins double in the 2009 NLCS? Let me know your thoughts. Any one of them really could win. I was there for 4th and 26. That was insane. I was there for Rollins' double in the NLCS. But you really could go any of them. There's some iconic moments in Flyers histories, too, if you want to go there. But let me know. Most iconic non-Super Bowl 52 play in Philadelphia postseason history. 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for January 11th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Be sure to check out KYW on the 3 quarters past the hour tomorrow to check out our Fan of the Week package. Go have yourselves a Saturday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.